The most powerful leadership model was given to us by Jesus. He showed us that leadership isn't about climbing the ladder, it's about holding the leaders for others to climb up to. And that's the kind of leadership that changes the world. Welcome to another episode of the Life Podcast. Today we are unpacking what it really looks like to lead like Jesus. Not just with charisma or strategy, but with character, compassion, and conviction. Robert Greenleaf once said that the servant leader is servant first. It begins with a natural feeling that one wants to serve. That person is different from the one who is leader first. And this is the exact model that Jesus presented to us. He led through service and not status. Like I shared a few weeks back, I used to think that leadership was all about the big titles, or being in charge, or about being seen. Some years back, I wanted the title, the recognition, the respect, just like every average human being will want. But Jesus began showing me through personal encounters and experiences that real leadership is about serving when no one is watching. And slowly God began to show me by studying the life of Jesus. I began to see that the more I dug deep into the life of Jesus, the more I realized that he led low so others could rise. And that was how I made a shift from how can I be seen to how can I serve. And that gave me a turnaround in my leadership journey. In John 13, Jesus Christ brought a towel and began to wash the feet of the disciples. I'm sure it's a story that everyone knows by heart. But if you don't understand the concept of what Jesus was passing across, the understanding might elude you. I began to study the Jewish traditions, how that in those times, sandals were being worn and the roads were usually unpaved, dusty to walk upon. And so when you have a guest coming from a far place, their feet is usually so dirty. And as a host, what you would usually do is to offer to help them wash their feet. This rule is reserved for the slaves of that house. And so the servants of that household will begin to wash the feet of the guests so that they can enter the house and have communion with the master of the house. Now, understanding this, that washing of feet was reserved to only slaves in those times, you understand what Jesus was passing across to the disciples by him washing their feet. He was trying to tell them that true influence comes through humility. Philippians chapter 2 tells us, though he was God, he made himself of no reputation and became a servant. Understanding this will open your eyes to what true leadership is. This is someone who is God, came down to earth and began to live like a servant. Jesus didn't just define greatness in leadership, he revolutionized it. Think about it. Jesus could have commanded loyalty from all his disciples, but it was through his life that people became loyal to him. He taught them loyalty by service, by serving them. One thing we must do is to stop chasing titles, stop chasing positions by all means. John Maxwell once said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Because in the process of chasing titles, you ignore the people around you, you ignore your colleagues, and then you just keep looking at the title you're chasing, and then you forget those you're leading. Jesus' authority kept on growing as he led through service. Listen more than you speak. Jesus asked over 300 questions in the Bible. He used those questions not just to teach, but to draw people out. Leaders who listen lead better because they make people feel seen. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. One point I would like you to note is that true leadership is about protecting people even when it costs you influence. Jesus never used crowds to glorify himself. He used his influence to restore individuals. Different people he healed in the Bible, lives he touched. He used his influence to touch those lives. Another point to note as you lead from service mindset is to embrace interruption. As leaders, it's nice to have schedules, stick to schedules, and move on with those schedules. But take Jesus when he was passing through, and then the blind man kept on calling him. Jesus stopped. The woman with the issue of blood, Jesus stopped. They were going somewhere, but Jesus was interrupted. Why? Because he saw opportunities in those interruptions to touch people's life. So embrace interruptions. When things don't go the way you plan them to go, those are interruptions. In leading from a service mindset, you begin to look around to what you can do to help people's lives, to what you can do to improve the quality of people's lives, to make their lives better. Another thing is about legacy. Great leaders multiply leaders, not just followers. Jesus, who is our perfect template, didn't just attract crowds. He built disciples, he poured into them, and then made them leaders too. One part of leadership is sustaining the legacy, which means as you are leading, begin to impact people's lives to be able to lead just like you. Because leadership is incomplete when there is no sustainability, when there is no legacy. So when you leave that place, how will what you have built be sustained? You sustain it by building leaders too. Do not gatekeep as a leader. Stop gatekeeping. Pour into people, build people so that your leadership is sustainable. Washing feet did not make Jesus less Lord. It revealed his true strength. Servant leadership requires courage, self-control, and security to put others first. That's what makes it so powerful. Now let me turn the mirror to you. How are you leading? Are you serving, empowering, lifting, and listening? Because the truth is, titles fade, platforms crumble, but the impact of a servant leader lasts for generations. This week, grab a towel. Not literally, but ask yourself, how can I serve someone who I'm leading? Pick someone who you are leading today and ask them, how can I help you succeed? Then patiently listen to what they have to say. Look at your schedule. Where would you leave space for God's interruptions? Take a note of what you discover, because in God's kingdom, great leadership is servant leadership. Learn to lead like Jesus.